Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Raising the Curtain, a Bloomington Normal Theater podcast with Ashleigh Raylan. Today is going to be an episode that I know a lot of people in the community are excited about, me being one of them. I am here today with the co-founders of Nomad Theatre, Connie, Blick, and Cristen Monson. How are you guys?
Awesome. We're so happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Of course. So let's just start with some basics about you guys. Connie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. My name is Connie Blick. I was a theater major at ISU, graduated with an acting degree, planted roots here in Normal in 2007, have a couple kids, just turned 40. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's
okay.
No, that's great. How did you get involved? Obviously, you studied acting,
Yes.
but can we back it up? How did you get involved with theater and make sure to pursue acting?
Well, after college, I went to Chicago and tried the whole auditioning thing, and then Zach, my husband, and I got pregnant with my daughter Olive, and so that had us come back here to Normal because we had the safety of his family and stuff. And so raising a kid really young was a scary thing, and I think as soon as like my kids got older, I was itching for that theater thing again, right? That creative outlet,
yeah.
right? Because I was being a mom was my new role for a really long time, and I really didn't get that outlet. And so I think that when the time was right, I just kind of dived back into and auditioned for the 10-minute plays at Heartland Theater, and that was the first thing that I did. And met a lot of people through that, one of them being Cristen. She was my director in one of those shows. And then I think after that, just through those connections that I met with people at Heartland, so much took off, and I felt so welcome in the community here when I auditioned for that show. And so I was like, okay, that's it. Like, I'm back. Like, I wanted to.
She got stuck.
Yeah. So
Excellent. What about you, Cristen? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from El Paso, Texas, and I grew up kind of flying back and forth between Texas and California, where my dad lived. So both of my parents were actors, performers, so I think it's in my blood.
Yep.
Anyway, I also have an undergraduate degree in acting from the University of Texas at El Paso. Woohoo! And then kind of wandered my way around from New York to Baltimore, and then eventually to Bloomington Normal. And then I got my master's degree at ISU, a program you know a little bit about.
Yes, I know a little bit about.
And I also have two awesome kids that are grown. I'm a little older than Connie, so I have a 25-year-old and a 20-year-old, and they're flown and grown. So this is my baby now, Nomad Theatre.
There we go. And your kids also do theater. Well, I know at least your son used to.
Yes, you know my son Eli.
I do.
Yes, you both do. And he used to do theater, and then he joined the Navy and became a man. He's crazy. His life is theater. And then my daughter is also pursuing music theater at Baldwin Wallace University in the Conservatory of Music.
So very genetic in your family.
Yes.
Connie, do your kids do theater at all?
oh my gosh, absolutely not. They would not be caught dead on a stage. Well, Otis, he made some appearances in Heartland. He was on stage with me in the Doll's House, but I think I sent Olive to one acting class, and she was like, "No, I'm not going to do this." And they have no desire. Yeah.
And your husband Zach is also musically inclined.
Musically inclined,
yeah.
But yeah, definitely not a fan of the stage either. Excuse me, but I feel supported by them. It's kind of nice that theater's just mom's thing. You know what I mean? So
it's nice to have your own thing like that. Awesome. So let's dive right in. What made Nomad become Nomad?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, I guess it goes back to something called Sticky in the Sticks. Mm-hmm. So someone I met at Heartland Theater, his name was J-Michael Gray, in the 10-minute plays that I started, he was a part of something called Sticky in New York. And he said he was also new to this city, to the theater community when he auditioned for the plays, and thought, do you think this is something that could thrive here in Bloomington Normal? And when he explained the concept to me, it was site-specific theater in a bar. And he did this in New York, and he wrote for it. And I said, that's an awesome idea. Yes, I want to be a part of it. And so him and I together for 3 years produced Sticky in the Sticks at Firehouse Pizza. And that, lived its life and stopped. And then I started working at ISU about 6 years ago and worked with Cristen. And Cristen, was a fan of Sticky. She'd been coming to Sticky. We were connected through the theater community. And it was just a conversation, was like, I miss Sticky. And she's like, me too. That was such an awesome thing. And it was her that really said, what if like Sticky came back, but in a different way? What if we took things outside of a bar and had more diverse environments? We could really do theater anywhere. And I was like, yeah, you really think so? And she's like, yeah. And I think it was there in the office of Illinois State University School of Theater and Dance, where we both worked at the time, that Nomad became Nomad. And I think we got a group of people from Sticky together to kind of just talk about the idea, and they were like, this is really cool. And then I think Cristen and I really just took that and said, okay, let's move forward, and kind of thought of different locations and different things that we could do. But we did start at a bar because we knew that was the roots of it, and we wanted people to know that Nomad was connected to Sticky in that way, but it was just sort of a reincarnation of this idea.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that was actually my next question, is what was Nomad's first production?
Good transition. So
Yes.
yes, our first little season that we created, the opening plays were the bar plays, and we performed at Fat Jack's and Night Shop, and they were great. They didn't charge us anything, and we were able to use their space and their bar, and it was super environmental. And we used some of the plays that had been submitted to Sticky because they were already bar plays. And then also just, I think we had some other plays kind of thrown in there, local playwright. They were really funny and so well attended. I mean, it was just Connie and I doing it out of the back of her van, like renting chairs and trying to do like clip lights around the bar to make it look lit.
Putting the lights up, like
it was.
We had our husbands doing production work, like, yeah, it was literally a passion project, like our first show.
And we had no idea how it was going to be received, but it was packed both nights, and we thought, hey, I think this might work.
Right.
But it was still just Connie and I, just kind of throwing things together, making a theater company. And then the second show of our season was the art show, which we did at McLean County Art Center. And again, they were wonderful hosts. Doug Johnson, thank you very much. And super well attended, and everything was great. This was March of 2020.
That's what I was, yeah. What was
so
our
we
segue
literally
there?
closed March like 16th or something, 15th, that weekend, and then boom, COVID, and done.
It was, I mean, not even kidding. I think our closing performance, we had gotten word there was this thing, and it was like, oh my gosh, I wonder, but we didn't know the seriousness of it, and I think it was literally 2 days later that the world shut down.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh my God, and the art show sold out as well. I mean, it was a packed house.
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, we just had such successful performances, and so we were like, oh my God, we were like, we just got started, and then COVID on such a high,
have it all
and
taken away.
we were like so ignited with this, and the support from the community and everyone involved, the actors, and so many people in the community that like were coming out of the woodwork auditioning for the show that we hadn't seen on stage in a really long time, and like just the support we got, we were like, oh my God, now it had to come to an end. But I think we said no. We were like, no, this isn't happening. Like we're too excited for this. And I really think that COVID actually, in a lot of ways, was a blessing for us.
I would agree.
It allowed us to adapt to the situation and really, we're site-specific theater, right? And so we really, I think, found ways to bring ourselves into the community when other theaters couldn't do that. And unfortunately, it was just like they had to shut down. So I think we found a way to bring theater to the community during a time where there really wasn't that outlet for a lot of people. And I think COVID really benefited us in a way because we were able to do so many shows and put our name out there at a time where there was nothing else that people could see or be involved in. And so I think I almost feel lucky personally, like
Sure.
that happened. It allowed us to adapt and bring really unique things during COVID.
Yeah, because you guys, I feel awful since I was involved with it, but the Front Porch Place, was that end of summer, middle of summer? When did that happen?
Gosh, that's a really good question. It would have been the next summer, though. No, was it that summer? March, April, May, June, July?
I think it was the next, like,
2021.
you still couldn't go places, and you could
Right.
only meet in small groups. It was like only
Right.
when people recommended you were like a group of 5. And there was actually
Yes.
Elizabeth Wilder. She's not local here. She's a playwright in, I'm so sorry, I can't remember what city, but she's a playwright, and she wrote these plays and gave them out for free to theater companies that said, you know, here's something that's available. And those were written about COVID, right? So they were, it was actors coming to people's front porches and performing monologues that revolved around COVID that took place at a front porch. Yeah, and so I think we learned a lot during that show. We had to learn routing systems, like how do we plan this?
Plotting those maps.
Oh, yeah, had to tour a show full of actors and get them to 6 locations within 3 hours. And but again, so grateful. People were so grateful that they could sit on their front porch and at least see some form of live theater.
Right.
Before, and of course we had to have social distancing and everybody was masked. That was a crazy time. Yeah. And Zach played guitar. Yeah.
We had a lot of cool guitar players for that one.
Yeah.
I clearly had my years mixed up. Let's jump back a little bit because Pamela mentioned it. You guys did a COVID Christmas Carol.
We did. Oh my gosh. Pamela wrote a COVID Christmas Carol, and we were talking about this. Connie and I were talking about this today because we don't even know how we produced that, because Pamela had originally, I think she spoke about this, thought that it was just going to be like a recorded Zoom performance. But we had Britannia Howe directed this for us, and she cast it, and we had everybody on Zoom in their homes, and it was coordinating backgrounds. So we had a background, like someone design our backgrounds for all these locations. And Connie was the hero because she figured out how to do all the live streaming, and then we were in her house, and I was on one computer with the actors like in a holding room on Zoom, and then I would tell them, okay, it's time to join the production. It was crazy, and Connie can tell more about what she did.
Cristen and I just talked about this today. I said if we could pull off COVID Christmas Carol, we can do anything.
Yes.
Because that was one of the most difficult things when everyone was trying to understand virtual theater, streaming theater. So were we. And I mean, both Cristen and I consider myself, I'm an actor. Like, I don't have a lot of experience behind the scenes doing stuff like that, designing, producing. I mean, Nomad has given me that opportunity, and I'm passionate about it, but technical things I was not familiar with. And so, but I think we said, this is such a good idea and such a good play, and these people, and we need to do this. It's perfect for Nomad. And it's always been our passion behind the project, behind Nomad, that allows us to just say, we're going to figure out a way, and we're going to do it. And I can't tell you how many nights I stayed up till 1 a.m. But it
coordinating like recorded video with live streaming, and it was amazing though.
With scene changes, with details of, you know, I don't know. I mean, it just music. I mean, just transitions. It was insane to do that live and have everything on cue.
We also delivered hot cocoa bombs to people who wanted it.
Oh,
yes, we partnered with Compassionate Crumbs.
Yes,
and people could order hot cocoa bombs when they were watching it and watching it. I mean, yeah, it was. And people were posting about, like, I'm ready to watch COVID Christmas Carol. I mean, it was the sweetest thing we still had the support from the community during that show. But that was the hardest thing I think we've done in the whole process of Nomad. It was just like the logistics and everything during that time were crazy, but it was successful. I think everyone really had a good time, and the show was a success. So yeah, but that was hard.
Was everything done on Zoom, or did you guys use like a certain platform for that?
We used StreamYard.
Okay.
So we spent a lot of time like researching, figuring out what would work. OBS was too complicated for me as a person who was not a tech person. I was like, I can't figure it out. You could only have like 5 people in the room at a time on StreamYard without paying for anything. And again, this is Cristen and I, right? Nomad is like funded by Cristen and I in the beginning, right? And if we got donations, we were using some of that money, you know, towards the next production. So it was like, okay, well, we need to do this on the cheap. We're going to use StreamYard because it's free. We can't have more than 5 people in the stream room at a time. And that's why Cristen was in the waiting room queuing people in, queuing a cast of almost 20.
That's what Pamela said. It was a pretty big cast. Yeah.
And just like they can't all be in there at once, so we need to queue them. And so we were writing out detailed like queue entrances. And I'm saying, and when you usually in theater have a team of artistically 15, like you have designers, you have tech people. When I say it was Cristen and I doing a lot of I mean, just doing the technical aspects. but the energy of everyone involved, I think, kept us going. Like, oh my God, we're gonna do this. So
awesome, good deal. So obviously, we know a couple other shows you guys have done. The front porch plays. You also did the patio plays. We worked on Gloria Mundi, which we got to take to the Indiana Fringe Festival, Indianapolis Fringe Festival. I'll get there eventually. Any other shows you guys have done so far that I am missing?
We did the Ghost Light project during
Yes.
COVID. Yeah, and those were a great way for local writers, actors to write a piece about COVID or that could be happening during COVID. Those were great. And those are all on YouTube. So if you go to the Nomad YouTube channel, you can watch them all.
And those involved a lot of people that weren't just local. We were having directors from California. I mean, anyone that just wanted to do something, we were connecting them with a director and an actor and a writer. So, I think the majority of our performances happened during COVID. And right near the end of COVID is when we brought the front porch plays back because we knew that was such a success. Yes. We thought, let's bring this back as things kind of got better again.
We knew what we were doing from the summer before when we did it, but this time you could have larger groups gather. You could, so you could be performing to a group of 20 people in someone's backyard, or sometimes just 2 people in their backyard. But we had 2 different teams touring at one time, so we actually had a stage manager who coordinated that for us.
Emily Kelly.
We love you, Emily Kelly.
Connie's over here praising.
Literally have to take a team and then route where they're going to go in what order, and it was crazy. Again, craziness, but lots of wonderful things came from that. And I also want to say that all the money that people paid it was by donation, and a lot of that we donated back to different local organizations. So we donated to Prairie Pride Coalition, to Moms Demand Action, to the NAACP. Am I missing anybody else? So we basically didn't take that money for ourselves. We paid it forward to other nonprofit organizations that we felt strong connections to. And then we're fortunate enough to pay our actors that summer.
With the tips. They all split the tips that they were receiving from the locations that they were going to. So any tips they collected, those all went to the actors as well. So
excellent. So we just started 2024, right? Nomad's been pretty silent for the last year, which is perfectly fine because I hear you guys have been working on some really exciting things. I know you guys kind of posted a video just announcing a few things, but tell us where Nomad's going in 2024.
Thank you for asking that, Ashleigh.
You're welcome.
Connie and I have been silent because after the patio plays, thank you. We really looked at each other and went, we're just doing this, the 2 of us, and we need to do this the right way. Like, what if there was an accident? What if we got sued? What if something happened? So we made a commitment to make ourselves official. And what that means is we filed for articles of incorporation. So we are officially a business, and then once that is completed, which it is, we were able to file for 501c3 status, which we will find out within 3 to 6 months. We'll hear back. It's a long process, but all of that paperwork is done, and we have all that kind of protection, so we feel a little bit better. And then the other thing we did is to be able to form a nonprofit, you have to form a board of directors. So we did that as well. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I just want to add to that too, that one of the biggest reasons I think why we decided to go official was because we really want this to live on after Cristen and I. Cristen and I are moms, we're wives, we work full-time jobs during the day. This is just a passion, and I think that when we saw the support from the community and the excitement that Nomad brought to artists in the community, we said, this needs to keep going, and we need the support of being in a nonprofit for it to continue, even if we get tired, right? Because we're you just get tired, and I don't think we were ready to burn out yet. We're not ready to burn out. We have so many great ideas, but we said also being a nonprofit will hold us accountable, right? It'll hold us accountable to say we need to continue with this. We need to get help. We need to establish a board. We're going to do this. We're going to get committees. We're going to do this officially, and I think that that's what really inspired us to do it. It was because we want this to live on in the community. when we get tired. I don't know when that will be, but we want it to last, you know, for a long time, because I think it's really a gem. And so that was a big bulk of why I think we decided to go official. So yes, back to the board members. We have 3 wonderful people. They've all been involved in Nomad in some way that are on the board. And this is exclusive too, because we haven't announced them yet. But one of them is Lauren Palmer. She currently is the Finance and Communications Manager for Illinois Shakespeare Festival, but she's been a long time friend of mine and recently Kristen's. And she's an artist and musician. She loves the fine arts. She's passionate about fine arts, and she's our treasurer. Ariel Jones has been involved in Nomad Productions before. She's wonderful. She's passionate about Nomad. She's on our board. And Pamela Morgan, who you had a podcast with, she's been invaluable to us in so many ways too. And so we thought she'd be one of a great founding board member for us too. So those 3 are our founding board members. But yes, I mean, all things will come where we'll develop more people and hope that there will be a lot of interest and people that really want to help and support and be behind the scenes with us and making this happen.
What about some upcoming projects we can expect?
Well, our little video did do some sneaky peeks of those. So the first project that we have coming up is called Nomadograms. And those are... if you think about like what a flash mob is, where it's like all of a sudden people are doing something in public and you weren't expecting it, it's kind of like along those lines, except that someone who has like a sweetheart, say Ashleigh, wants to send a little something special to her love, Eli, and she would have Nomad send something, have a person planted somewhere where they could either sing a song or recite a sonnet or a love poem of something of your choice, and it would be a surprise to the person who's receiving it. So Ashleigh would take Eli somewhere like Bob's Bay, who has agreed to be one of our locations, and be looking at books, and we would have a signal that we know that that's the person who's receiving the, nomadagram. And one of our performers would come up and either start singing a song or start doing a love poem, whatever you choose. And then it would be short and sweet, and everybody around in Bob's Bay or wherever this takes place would be able to witness it also, right? So it's not just private. So that's our first little project coming up. We are still looking for some performers, and we're still looking for businesses who would like us to come in. If it wouldn't be too disruptive to your business for us to come in and do something like that, we would love to get, we have a few, but we would like many more to kind of hop on board for that. And we think it'll just be a really great way for the community to witness something unexpected, and also for those who know Nomad to be able to take advantage of some really great performers doing something special for your little honey bunch.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I think in the discussions we had with the board, we kind of thought, how do we come back, right? How do we come back in this new year? And we thought, well, part of being established as a 501c3, we need to fundraise, right? I mean, you can't do productions, you can't do a full season without that support monetarily. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? So we thought, well, let's come back with some small pop-up fundraisers. And so that's one of those ideas, is the Nomadograms is a smaller pop-up fundraiser that we're doing.
Gotcha.
You want to talk about the second? Oh, sure, yeah. The second one is called Pop-Up Her Story, and we're working with the Normal Public Library. It's HER story, like history, but her story. And we're doing that in celebration of Women's History Month. And you, Miss Ashleigh Raylan, are directing it, so we're really excited to have you back to direct. This one's going to be really fun because
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's different. It has a unique twist because it's different. That it's a collaborative creation, right, between the writers and the actors. So the writers we have sort of a list of 20 historical women, and these are real women from history.
Yes.
They're not fictional characters, but they're real women from history that have a book written about them in some way, appear in a book in some way. And the writers will literally create a short monologue while working with the actor, right? Kind of using the actor's strengths. Yeah, and the director, using the actor's strengths and kind of what features they want to feature about this historical character together. So it's really kind of unique in that way, and we're really excited for that.
Yeah, auditions for that are coming up too on the 14th.
Yeah, on the 14th at 2:30.
2:30.
And we're looking for female identifying performers of any ability, 18 and older for that.
That'll be great. And
I want to just say really quickly, the great thing about not having predetermined who we're going to be featuring as these women in history, it really opens it up to women, really any women. So you come, you show up, we look at you, and Ashleigh will say, I really want to use actor A. And then we find a woman in history that actor could identify with and be a great person to portray. So we're not locked into, we only need 5 roles and they're all these type of women. It's really like, come out and show us like your essential self, and then the director Ashleigh and the writers will work together to create something wonderful. And the actors are going to be in the stacks at the library, and audience members can just walk around and witness what they have to say and then go on to the next performer. There also will be a couple of duet scenes, like conversations between women, so that'll be interesting too.
I know we just mentioned the auditions are coming up. Are you still looking for writers?
We are. So we do have writers right now, but the more writers we have, I think the more women we can feature. And so, yes, we'd still love more writers for that. And we're also looking for volunteers if anyone's willing to help out that on performance days, just to help guide people that are there looking specifically for the performance, for the people, that will just help guide that. So, yeah, if anyone's interested.
Awesome.
We have one more third one as part of our pop-up fundraising thing, which we haven't posted about on our social media. So this is an exclusive.
Oh, yay. We love exclusives.
For this. Yes, this
so
is an
exclusive over here.
we kind of just posted a short little sneak peek that we announced it was going to be in May. It's May 3rd and 4th. Oh, no, I'm sorry. May 4th and 5th. And it's going to be kind of a dual thing. It's going to be our 2024-2025 season announcement, but it's also going to be the first like full-length site-specific performance that we will be presenting since COVID. So we ended with the art plays, and then COVID happened. And so we're going to be doing the warehouse plays. Which we did announce, but we didn't say the location or anything. So we're really excited to share that today.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
So, no SHIT about it. Can I say that on this?
Yes.
Oh, I can say no shit about it. No shit. We are going to present the warehouse plays in the Cadamco warehouse, and they are the makers of the toilet timer. So if anyone is familiar with the toilet timer, they're a wonderful, wonderful Bloomington normal couple. Adam Steffi is an inventor. He lives here in Bloomington. They were on Shark Tank presenting the toilet timer, and they got a deal. Yes. And Adam has an amazing space at Cadamco. By day, they produce the toilet timers and the one-up cards. And by night, he actually turns the warehouse into something called the Slug Factory. Which is a very interesting name.
Yeah.
Which we're going to share why he calls it the Slug Factory at the event. So let's see you hear that story.
So you have to go to the event to
yes,
about it.
Yes.
The Slug
but
Factory.
It's an amazing place. I mean, he's hosted a couple private events there recently, and I went to one, and I walked in, and I sent Cristen a picture, and I said, oh, my God. I said, this is amazing. Look at this place. And Adam actually came up to me at the event. He said, Connie, do you know any other, I'm like looking for other things to do here. Like, do you know anything else that would work well
let me tell you.
in this space? And I go, actually. And so after that, it was like, it just seemed like fate, because we knew we wanted to do a big fundraising event. We wanted something big. We wanted to announce our season. And it just was fate. Like attending that event, having Adam say that, and he's been so generous with sharing his space and allowing us to use his space for this, and so really excited to present that at the Slug Factory. And we have 6 local Bloomington Normal super talented playwrights that are on board to write the 10-minute plays that will be featured. We're going to do 6 full-length 10-minute plays, and an amazing director. So we have Al Altmans, who is an ISU student who is amazing. They have
we love Al.
Yeah, they are so talented, and their energy is great. It's going to be perfect for the warehouse plays. And we have Cristen is writing, Dave Crostal, Todd Weinberner, John Poling, and Pamela Morgan. Did I say 6? That's 6. Yeah. I don't think so.
I think that's 5.
Oh, and Bruce Beck.
Bruce Beck.
Bruce Beck. I'm so sorry.
So sorry, Bruce.
Yes. So we have, we didn't forget you. We have 6 Bloomington Normal local playwrights on board to write as well. So we're all going to go see the space and just excited. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So another great twist about collaborating with writers and directors is that the writers will be going to the warehouse on real soon on January 15th. And they're going to meet Adam, and they're going to tour the warehouse, and they're going to hear some stories, and they're going to take what they learned from that visit to write the plays. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times in 10-minute play contests, it's like, write a play about the swimming pool plays or whatever. Right. And you just are writing kind of a generic play that takes place there. This is going to be great because these are specifically geared toward this specific warehouse.
Awesome.
And things that might happen there. And it's like Connie said, it's so cool. I mean, there's like vintage like arcade games in there and really cool lights, and there's so many things that could happen in there. I mean, there was a forklift in the middle of our performance space, and I thought, I gotta write a play about the forklift. So, and he did tell us a story about somebody and the forklift. So we're gonna hear some stories from Adam and the toilet timer. Maybe there'll be several about the toilet timer itself or other things that he makes.
That's
there.
So fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
I love that.
Really, really stoked for that event. So there'll be auditions for that coming up probably the end of March, and we'll be posting announcements about all of that too. So right now, yeah, just we have writers and directors, but we would definitely be looking for people to be involved. It's going to be a fun one, and that will be our big fundraiser too. So the 4th is going to be the performance and the fundraiser, where we'll have food.
Sure.
Hopefully some silent auction items, some cookies, refreshments, wine, beer, and then the 5th we're just going to be presenting the plays at a different rate, so they can just come in at a matinee and just see the plays if you can't attend the season announcement party.
Awesome. Yeah. Obviously no spoilers. What is kind of your structure that you're looking for a season? I just think to, community players that does specifically 6 shows, that's their season. Do you guys have any sort of structure like that you're going off of?
Well, we being new, I mean,
sorry, put you on the spot.
No. Well, okay, here's the thing. Like, in the beginning, I think Cristen and I, with the things that we've come up with, it's been us sitting together over a glass of wine and being like, we should do this. Mm-hmm. And so I think, and it's always like, oh my God, I had this great idea. I went to this place and I thought of this place would be a great location for Nomad. We've never had a process when we've thought of plays, and then COVID sort of changed all of that, right? So we've never actually established a process, I suppose, how many shows we're going to do, but the time is now.
We'll hash it out.
I was going to say, everybody who knows us and knows Nomad, they always will come to us and say, I think a great location for you all to do your plays is, and then they'll give us a suggestion. And they're always, well, most of the time they're really good, but there are so many places we want to do theater. Sky's the limit for sure on that one. We actually did have our 3rd play of that season before we shut down for COVID, not for Nomad, was going to be these travel plays called Are You There Yet? And we actually had submissions from all over the country. People had submitted plays. So maybe that's something that we will look back on, like an outdoor travel play kind of location. But we really haven't talked about how many we want to do starting off. But you'll find out at the season announcement at the Slug Factory on May 4th and 5th.
Yes, May 4th and 5th.
Yeah. We know now that being officially established as, a nonprofit, that Chris and I as co-artistic directors, co-creators will, devise a season and present a season to the board. So we know that this 2024-2025 season will be presented, thought of by us, having community input, like taking those ideas. People have stopped us in the hallways and been like, I have a great idea for Nomad. Yeah. We're going to take all of those things, and we've got a list of things that, I've written down. But it will go in front of the board for a vote to get it pushed through. So similar in other ways that nonprofits vote for their season. That's the way I think we're planning on doing it.
Awesome. This might be kind of in the same vein of topic, but are there any, I don't want to use the word restrictions, that doesn't sound right, but are there any, are you trying to limit like writers to only being local? How far of an outreach do you either have or want to get to, or do you have a goal in mind?
That's a really good question. We've used a lot of local writers, and I think that's really important to us because we know there are a lot of really talented people in this area. But then we also have done open submissions and gotten submissions from all over the country. So we've done both of those things. So I think we'll probably continue to do a little bit of both of those things. Sure. It's nice to have. We actually had some of the playwrights come to our shows from out of town, from out of state, to see the art show plays, which was amazing. Like, oh my gosh, you came all the way to Bloomington to see your play being performed. So that was really special. So I hope we continue to do that, but I really want to prop up and support local writers for sure. And if you've noticed, Nomad has also been very... it's important to us, Connie and I, as women, to also offer opportunities to other women in the community, leadership positions in directing, writing, producing. That's really important to us. Not that that's not happening in other theaters, but it's just really important to us that we see those voices being heard more than, not more than others. It's just really important to us as women, because I think one of the reasons Connie and I started Nomad also was because we're both performers and we wanted like opportunities as well. Like maybe we weren't seeing ourselves being portrayed on stage. So let's make our own theater and maybe we can see ourselves. Or I'd like to direct more and I'm not really getting those opportunities in the community, but we can kind of make those opportunities for ourselves. So same for writers, same for directors, actors. Very, very female focused. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about that?
No, just that, I think that it is part of our vision as Nomad to really provide those kinds of creative opportunities for artists in our community. I mean, there's so many people with so much talent in this community, and I don't know if necessarily they get the opportunity to showcase that. It just hasn't presented itself, Right. I know that, when Sticky started, I got to dive into directing, and I really loved it. And I didn't find myself... I wasn't ready to direct a full-length play, and those were really the only opportunities that are in town, right? It's a full-length play, or that's it. So what can I do, right? I'm not ready to do a full-length play, but I really kind of want to dabble in it. And so doing 10-minute plays really allows people the opportunity to say, like, I have an interest and I want to do it, and, like, we want to provide that for people that, kind of want to step into those other roles that they're interested in. Absolutely. Because that was, that was me, and that was Cristen, I think, kind of like, maybe we want more of this opportunity, more of this experience. And I think that that's kind of why we focus on a lot of local, having a lot of local writers involved, because we want to showcase their voices and their talent, because they're so talented. Right. I do want to shout out to Christy Zimmerman. I mean, those that Christy Zimmerman, she wrote a play for the Bar Plays. It was absolutely hilarious. It was a showstopper called Monson. Lord knows that woman can act, but did you know that woman can write? And like, it was a beautiful great actress. Play. And you never, you know what I mean? Amazing. And I don't know if she submitted it to other theaters or not, but and knowing that now about Christy, I'm just like, oh my God, I just feel so happy that that show, that Raising the Bar, provided her with that opportunity to submit a play that maybe she was afraid to submit to, other places. And, after we read it, we said, oh my God, yes, like this belongs here. And it was such a good play. So I think that's what's important to us, is just really like nurturing that talent here in the community. So
I think that's excellent, especially because not only is it giving people other opportunities, but directing a 10-minute play is a little bit less daunting than directing a musical of 45 people.
Exactly. So, or even being in a 10-minute play, right? Like, exactly. That time commitment is kind of daunting too, to be like, I don't have like almost 2 months of my life to commit to a show. And I think Nomad provides opportunities for people that do work, that are parents, that Absolutely. Have a busy life, to be able to say, okay, I can invest maybe 1 to 2 hours a week on rehearsals, like for her story. That's what we're doing. It's just 2 days a week. 2 hours or an hour of rehearsal each day. And so I think that really helps too with it. Absolutely.
I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit to kind of the founding really fast. I should have asked this in, but I didn't think about it. And I don't want to assume, but obviously you're site specific, so we're moving around. But can you kind of explain the Nomad name?
Oh yes. Okay. Like some of the other names the other names were not very good, right? I mean, we knew that it's really not anything interesting. But thank God I'm married to an amazing person, because we knew we wanted site specific. We knew the Bar Plays worked. We knew we wanted to break out into new locations, and we thought, okay, well, what's the name of? I can't remember any names of things we were like, we spent, I think, hours trying to come up with what is a good name that people will just roll off people's tongue, that is easy to say, it's not long, you know, that encompasses, like, what we're trying to do. Site-specific, we're moving around. We don't have a home theater. We're just kind of popping up in locations. And after talking to Zach about it, like, this is our idea. And he's like, well, this sounds like very nomadic. Like, you're a very nomadic, like, theater. Like, this is a very nomadic project. What about Nomad?
It's like, all right, credits to Zach Blick, everybody.
Like, duh.
Yeah, so Zach Blick really founded Nomad Theater.
We love Zach Blick. He's a great guy.
Well, there's another theater in Florida that's site-specific that we found called Wanderlust, and they do something very similar, which is also a great name for a theater. And
I like that.
So there is actually another Nomad Theater in England, but they're not site-specific. But they're not site-specific.
Oh.
They're just called Nomad Theater.
Interesting.
So the things you find out about. It's hard to name something.
It really is.
Like naming a child is one thing, but like naming something like a theater is it's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard. So that was a good story. And Connie and I wrote our mission statement at the bar at Medici over some wine. Yeah, and we've tweaked it over the years.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk about our mission?
That's what I was actually just about to ask. You guys were doing such a great job of explaining why you do what you do. But I know I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler alert. We're also going to talk about your new website that's launching. So we have a lot of new stuff that's coming up. So what is the new and revised and improved mission statement? Don't all jump at once.
So, in all honesty, Nomad's mission is to provide immersive theater. We've already talked about that. By exposing audience members to eclectic, we've also talked about that, and moving stories, and taking them outside of the traditional theater space into the site-specific locations. So that's kind of the mission in a nutshell. And that's important because sometimes people don't feel comfortable in a formal theater setting.
Right.
They don't know what to wear. Maybe they've never been to a show. How should I act? You know, so going to something and in a casual space exposes new audience members that may not have ever seen live theater before. And they say, hey, this was pretty good. Maybe I will go see some play at Community Players or Heartland Theater now that I think I would like to see more of this. And so it's a great way to introduce people into kind of what live theater means and what it can do.
I can't tell you how many times Zach was working the door at Sticky, like when it was at Firehouse, and he heard people coming in not knowing there was a show. They were walking in, and Zach's like, he was the doorman always, like taking the money. Like, he was the bouncer. And they'd be like, what's going on? And be like, there's a play. And they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll watch it. And how many times people did that didn't know the show was happening and would leave and tell him, I didn't think I liked theater. And then they sat through the show at Sticky, and they were like, I don't think I like theater, but that was awesome. And that is what I think part of our mission and vision is to like bring new lovers of theater, right? Like to know that theater can happen anywhere, right? It's not it doesn't have to just be in a theater. It can be more accessible than that, and really create new lovers of theater, and, you know, even new lovers of theater through auditioning and performing too, like people taking a chance to audition for Nomad shows and then say, wow, that was awesome. I do want to go audition like for a show at Players or Heartland. Like I have the itch now and I want to do it. And that really is, I think the strongest, most passionate part about our mission and vision is creating that connection. And
Yeah, and I mean, we need that in theater. I mean, you two both know me very well. You know I like to push the boundaries on some things, and I like to think outside the box when it comes to shows, because we don't have to have theater in this chokehold that it has to be this certain way all the time, every time. That gets boring. Like, yeah, your classics are great, but like, let's do something different. And that's one thing that I love about the organization is you are producing new works and you're accommodating people who maybe you know, don't want to actually go to a theater. Maybe they aren't physically able to, and providing like the front porch plays, I just think is really great. So let me ask, you have a new website.
Yay! Oh my God, the website.
As of today.
Our board member, Lauren Palmer, is amazing. She spent so much time and work on doing a website, and just her passion behind just wanting to help was great. So yeah, our new website is launched, nomadtheater.org. We have a donate button that's ready and available if anybody wants to support that way through the website. We have all the information about our upcoming shows on there, past galleries, photos from past productions, and then you also get to meet all of our bios and meet the board members on there as well. So yeah, nomadtheater.org, where you can find all of the information about us and make a gift if you feel so inclined in supporting us in this new nonprofit journey.
Yeah, it'll be great. What about social media? What platforms are you guys on?
We're on Facebook and Instagram, and that's about it. We don't do the X. We don't do TikTok. Maybe we will do TikTok. We've will.
We've been toying with that idea for the podcast too.
But yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and we post everything there as well. So that's always good.
I also try to share everybody's posts and stories, and
thank you for that. We appreciate that.
So we can make everything accessible. Anything you would like to add about upcoming projects with Nomad? I'm going to ask you guys a random question that has nothing to do with the theater, but anything you want to add?
I guess I would just say we don't know what's on the horizon for us. Like I think we're doing this like step by step, day by day. So if there's anyone out there that like wants to be involved, that has been involved in Nomad, and you want to be involved more and really be a part of a committee, or interested in being a board member, interested in play reading, once we open up the season, we're going to need play readers. So we need everyone and everyone's help, because we are a new developed official, so I think if we can say anything, it's really just, any of our supporters in the community, if you can come together, we need you now. If there's any time commitment that you can give, it would just be so appreciated to have more kind of collaboration.
Be part of this history.
Yeah, this is pivotal. This is pivotal, and I think Chris and I were talking today, like, oh my God, it doesn't feel real, right? Like, did we really just do this? Like, we're just going step by step, but the reality is starting to hit us that, we create a nonprofit that can live on after we're gone if this goes well, if we have enough people behind us to support and keep it thriving. And so that's what we're asking for right now, is just enough people and support behind us to keep this thriving, because we are passionate about it, and we know there's people in the community that really love it. So, yeah.
I just wanted to say also that there's room for Nomad in Bloomington Normal, right? I mean, we have a thriving theater community, as you know, doing this podcast. So I hope everybody sees this as not something, another thing to compete with audiences for their theaters, because we need people to go to the theater all over town, right? We're not saying that. We want more people in all of those theaters, because we also work at those theaters and do theater all over town. Prairie Fire, with Heartland, with Community Players, all of those theaters, they need your support too. This is a tool and a way to get even more people involved and grow audiences and grow lovers of theater all over town. So even if you're thinking, well, I do most of my theater at this theater X or theater Y, and I don't know, I don't want to get involved with that, poof, don't do that.
Don't think like that.
Don't think like that. Like, there's no borders here when it comes to creating art and getting that art to the community. So that's the last thing I want to say.
Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that was a big reason why I started the podcast, was to have I don't want to use the word cohesive, just a solid area where everyone can feel represented, where everyone can be showcased for their niche that they have. And I mean, like you had mentioned, all three of us do stuff at multiple theaters within the community, and everyone needs the support. I just think it's so cool. This is like brand new. It's like a little baby.
It is. You have a new baby too. It's great.
I know. It's excellent.
This is also history in the making.
Yeah, it'll be really good. So I'm going to ask you guys real quick. Do you have a favorite play or musical that you would like to share with our listeners?
Gosh, I knew you were going to ask this question. I still am not prepared for it. I know you did ask me. Okay, so musicals are hard for me because I'm a musical theater performer.
Yes.
So, but my favorite musical of all time is Sunday in the Park with George. And I know that a lot of people think that it's problematic, but I don't really care. The music's beautiful. The story makes me cry every time I hear any of the songs. And if you see a really good production, even if you see a really bad production of Sunny in the Park with George, it's just a beautiful musical that teaches me lessons every time I listen to it. So that's my favorite musical. I'm going to let Connie speak.
Oh, no. Okay, you sort of switched this question because in your email when you sent the questions, it was something about like, what musical do you love and like belt out in the shower? And then I was like, oh, no. I don't like musicals.
You don't. That is true. I did say that.
It's not that I don't like them, okay? I'm just not a musical person. I can't.
I say you predominantly do plays.
I'm more of a straight play person. Like, 'cause I don't sing. But I just not like, I'm going to go see this musical. I'm just not a musical person. But I love Hamilton. Call that cliche. I love Hamilton. I just saw it.
Oh, hey.
In Chicago. It was amazing. So if I had to say that, it's probably just because it's one of the only musicals I've ever seen.
It's the freshest.
But I mean, I've seen like maybe a handful of musicals. And The Wedding Singer is really good too. You know.
Did you assist?
I did assist, so I'm a little biased. But I don't have a lot of like knowledge on what's out there.
Gotcha.
As far as musicals, so all I know is what I've seen here in town, and there's been some really great ones. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I have a favorite, and if I had to say, I'd just say Hamilton because I just saw it. But play.
Yeah.
I may also be a little biased because
I feel like I already know the answer to this.
No, it was a play that I read in college, and I think it was just like my age and this like where you are when you're 20 and you read a play and it just impacts you so much and like changes your life. And that was Breaking Up by Michael Christopher. Like that play just changed my life. Like it made me. I read that. I was like, oh my God. You know, this is relationships. This is grief. This is love. So I think that is always a play that sticks with me that, you know, I'm like, wow, that one is always at the top of my mind is one that, yeah, I really love.
Awesome.
I was going to say that made me think of a play that is near and dear to my heart. That I did in college also. It's funny how theater in college changes the way you think because you come out of high school thinking theater is one thing and then you go to college and everything busts open. But I did Paula Vogel's The Baltimore Waltz, and that was a play that I realized that theater could be a tool for social change. Like the whole play was not really about, but written during the AIDS crisis. And it was kind of a very funny play, but very poignant about what we were really dealing with when it came to AIDS. And I still think about that play today. So more people should do that play. It's a good play. Awesome. I love Paula Vogel. Anything by Paula Vogel. How I Learned to Drive. Yeah. Anything.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a site-specific play?
No, it's kind of absurd. It's crazy. It takes place in all different locations.
Oh, yeah. We're not that good yet.
No, not yet.
And then I didn't ask you guys this question on the list of questions I sent you, but since you are both performers, do you have a favorite role that you have played?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think mine will also, it'll forever be Juliet. Like I did Romeo and Juliet in college, and I think that was when I was 12, I was reciting and Juliet, Shakespeare in the mirror of my bathroom. So it was like, that was just a dream role that I've always wanted to do. And so I'd probably say that was my favorite.
I wanted to see Connie in that. I want to go back in time and see Connie as Juliet. That would be so awesome. I was fortunate in college to have a dinner theater attached. It's really the only one of its kind. It's still in existence. It's a dinner theater that is associated with the university, so it's on campus.
Right.
And so a lot of my training for musicals was done at the UTEP Union Dinner Theater, and I got to play so many incredible roles at that theater. And a role that I would never be cast as today. I played Ava and Evita, and it was amazing. It was one of the best experiences of my life. But I did almost 30 musicals at that theater. And it's funny because right now the artistic director has just retired, and now the university thinks they might be doing away with that space and that it's no longer relevant.
I think I've seen that.
And there has been an outpour from 40 years of actors who are working all over the country professionally, and the local students going, what are you talking about? You have a successful theater producing 4 shows a year. At one point it was 6. Training, that's where I got all my training, was doing show after show after show. So shout out to the Union Dinner Theater. If anybody is listening to this podcast that knows me, write your newspapers. It should not go away. Thank you, Greg Taylor.
I mean, I think removing any sort of theater from any academic institution is asinine, especially as someone who went to a school that no longer has a theater program. Yep. They have it as like a extracurricular, but it is not a major anymore. And the thing that I enjoyed about my time at Eureka, again, totally different situation right now, but is it wasn't limited to just the students. Like anyone so I was able to work with people in the community like before I got out of college, which I really enjoyed. But that's crazy. So, but I'm glad you had that experience. I kind of got a little emotional you talking about that.
Me too.
So, okay, fantastic. Well, I appreciate you both doing this so much. I know we've been finagling times and all of that fun jazz, but I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but we have the upcoming Nomadograms.
Yes.
Okay.
Nomadograms.
And then the pop-up Her Story.
Yeah, at the Normal Public Library, and those are early March.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Warehouse Place at the Slug Factory will be on May 4th and 5th.
Awesome. So make sure to follow along with Nomad Theater on their social media pages as well as their brand new website. And keep an eye out for all the upcoming and new exciting events. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Ashleigh.
Done.
We're adorable.
No. What time?